The South China Sea, an expanse of water where geopolitical tensions have simmered for years, explodes in a flash of fire and fury. At precisely 2:34 a.m., a low-profile radar return sends shockwaves through both sides. A formation of US F-35s invisible to the Chinese radar net streaks toward the heart of China's maritime power. In mere moments, the first of China's prized aircraft carriers, a symbol of its naval ambition, disappears in a cloud of debris. A casualty of precision-guided missiles launched from the F-35s. But this is no ordinary strike. It's an awakening, a force long considered unstoppable. The Chinese Navy now finds itself scrambling in desperation. What changed in that instant to turn the tide? How did an overwhelming Chinese presence unravel so quickly? As the battle erupts, one thing is clear. This confrontation isn't just about military dominance. It's a clash that could reshape global power forever. Don't just watch, engage. If clear-eyed military analysis matters to you, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Your voice fuels our mission to deliver truth beneath the headlines. At 2:34 a.m., the air above the South China Sea ignites with a silent storm. US F-35 stealth fighters, undetected by China's sprawling radar net, pierce through the quiet darkness. The F-35, the tip of America's spear, is an engineering marvel: stealth, speed, and precision. Beneath the radar horizon, these fighters become ghosts in the night, invisible to every enemy detection system. They've crossed into the heart of the contested waters, a calculated risk that could change the course of modern warfare forever. China's naval fleet, anchored near one of its most prized assets, an aircraft carrier, believes itself safe. The Chinese HQ-9, an advanced surface-to-air missile defense system, has formed an impenetrable umbrella over its warships. But that belief is shattered in an instant. The F-35s launch their payload, a combination of precision-guided bombs and hypersonic anti-ship missiles. Designed to bypass the robust air defense systems of the Chinese Navy, the first missile slams into the bow of the Chinese carrier. Within seconds, the ship is consumed by a massive explosion, sending shockwaves through the fleet. The crew of the nearby warships barely has time to react before the F-35s release another salvo, targeting the fleet's most critical assets, destroyers and escort ships. The Chinese response is swift but disjointed. Warships scramble to retaliate, sending waves of anti-aircraft missiles toward the invisible attackers. But the F-35s, with their advanced electronic warfare systems, are already jamming the enemy radar, making the incoming missile systems useless. The stealth fighters glide effortlessly in and out of the battlefield, evading every effort to lock onto them. Meanwhile, China's last-ditch hope for a counterattack, the DF-21D hypersonic missile, an anti-ship weapon designed to strike from long distances, from a nearby mainland base. Once feared as a weapon that could decimate any surface fleet, it races toward its target. Yet, in an extraordinary demonstration of air superiority, F-35 pilots deploy countermeasures with surgical precision, neutralizing the missile threat before it can reach its mark. What happens next is a chaotic ballet of destruction. As China scrambles its remaining warships to defend its remaining carriers, the F-35s regroup for another wave. Their mission is far from over. There's still much to be done before America can claim victory. But the first phase sends a clear message. The technological and tactical superiority of the United States has altered the course of the battle, putting China on the defensive. In the space of just minutes, the momentum shifts from Chinese aggression to a frantic scramble for survival. What had been a seemingly unstoppable offensive from China, backed by its heavily fortified navy and advanced weaponry, crumbles under the weight of an unexpected strike. The world watches, waiting for what will come next. In the air, the battle has shifted decisively in favor of the U.S., but the war is far from over. The chaos from the first wave of F-35 strikes ripples across the South China Sea. China, desperate to regain the initiative, scrambles its remaining forces. Yet they are already playing catch-up. The F-35s, now circling back for a second wave, have already achieved one critical objective: air superiority. The skies belong to the United States. At 2:45 a.m., a series of Chinese warships begin repositioning, attempting to form a defensive perimeter around their remaining aircraft carriers. But the F-35s are already ahead of them. The American pilots, fully aware of the Chinese countermaneuver, deploy anti-radiation missiles designed to take out the radars that guide China's remaining air defense systems. As the F-35s soar through the sky, the Chinese Navy's attempts to coordinate defense with their HQ-29 systems falter. Tactical command structures are broken, and radar feeds are interrupted. The F-35s exploit every weakness, diving in for their next strike. The air becomes thick with tension as the F-35s approach their next target, a Chinese destroyer. One of the few remaining undamaged ships, the American fighters unleash their payloads with deadly accuracy. Each missile pierces through the defensive shells of the Chinese warship. The destroyer, heavily armored but overwhelmed, succumbs to the brutal assault. An inferno rages in its wake, marking the destruction of yet another critical asset. Meanwhile, the Chinese respond with what they believe is their trump card, the DF-21D hypersonic missile launching once more. A new target has been identified: the F-35s themselves. This missile, designed specifically to target and neutralize large surface ships, now pivots toward the U.S. fighters. The DF-21D's speed is unmatched, and the Chinese command centers hope for a successful interception. However, the F-35s remain well prepared. In a dramatic display of military prowess, they activate their electronic warfare capabilities to distort the DF-21D's guidance systems. The hypersonic missile, once thought to be invincible, fails to lock onto its target. Instead, it veers off course, ultimately detonating harmlessly over the open sea. This is a critical moment for China. Its most advanced anti-ship weapon has failed, and with it, any hope of inflicting significant damage on the stealthy F-35s. By 3 a.m., the Chinese fleet is in disarray. The remaining warships attempt to regroup, but they are losing cohesion. Their aircraft carriers, once symbols of power and prestige, are left exposed, crippled by the initial F-35 assault. From the U.S. perspective, the battle is far from over. As the F-35s turn to face the remaining Chinese ships, it's clear that the technological edge of the U.S. military has dictated the tempo of the battle. The Chinese Navy, despite its numerical advantages, is rendered ineffective by precision weaponry, strategic air superiority, and overwhelming U.S. firepower. As the minutes tick by, America's message is clear. This is not merely a tactical victory, it is a demonstration of unmatched military superiority. The clock continues to tick as the battle intensifies. By 3:15 a.m., the remnants of the Chinese Navy are in confusion and tactical disarray. But one remaining piece on the board could change everything. China's final and most formidable countermeasure, the HQ-9 missile defense system. The HQ-29, once seen as an impenetrable shield, is now the last line of defense against the relentless F-35 assault. China's military leaders, realizing the collapse of their offensive, shift their remaining assets toward the HQ-9's protection. They hope to force a response with a coordinated defense strategy. That brings down the F-35s and buys time for their remaining warships to escape. But the U.S. pilots are ready. They know the HQ-9's capabilities and limitations. Though sophisticated, it can only track a limited number of targets at once, and its radar systems can be overwhelmed with a carefully coordinated assault. At 3:18 a.m., the first wave of F-35s deploys a series of high-tech chaff and flare decoys, flooding the airspace with false radar signals. In seconds, the HQ-9's radar lock breaks down as the system struggles to differentiate between real and simulated targets. The HQ-29 fires off several missiles, but each one locks onto a decoy or is intercepted by the F-35's electronic warfare suite. Simultaneously, a second wave of F-35s positions itself above the Chinese fleet at higher altitude. These jets fire long-range anti-radiation missiles, specifically designed to target and disable enemy radar systems. The missiles slam into Chinese radar stations, knocking out the few remaining communications and defense networks that could guide HQ-9 missiles. The Chinese Navy, left blind and vulnerable, has no chance to respond effectively. In these moments of tactical superiority, the F-35s strike once more, this time with laser-guided precision. The Chinese command center, already crippled by electronic warfare, watches helplessly as another destroyer is eliminated in a ball of fire. The aircraft carriers, unable to move due to the loss of support vessels and air defenses, become sitting ducks in a hostile sea. By 3:25 a.m., the Chinese Navy is in full retreat. The remaining vessels, once proud and heavily armed, are now simply trying to escape the jaws of America's advanced weaponry. But the damage is done. The loss of multiple ships, including several high-value targets, signals the end of China's offensive in the region. The F-35s, having completed their mission with remarkable efficiency, begin their retreat. In mere minutes, they've crippled one of the world's largest naval fleets, leaving China with a staggering loss in both hardware and strategic credibility. The U.S. has not only demonstrated air superiority, but also shown how the balance of power can shift in hours, when technological innovation meets strategic genius. Just as the dust begins to settle on the shattered remnants of China's naval forces, an unexpected move escalates the situation. At 3:35 a.m., a new player enters the arena: cyber warfare. A coordinated cyber attack strikes U.S. military communication systems, disrupting satellite feeds and encrypted channels. The attack, originating from Chinese cyber units, is swift and precise, designed to cripple U.S. command and control just as victory seems within reach. For a moment, U.S. commanders are plunged into uncertainty. Satellite communications flicker, real-time battlefield data stutters, and operations briefly go dark. The advantage the U.S. has fought so hard to build teeters on the edge. But the U.S. military is not caught off guard. The Air Force's elite cyber warfare unit, anticipating such a scenario, launches a counterstrike aimed directly at the Chinese command center.